All right, so we're back.
Part 2.
So we're going to go ahead and do some subtracting with mixed numbers. And it's going to be something that happens here, and we'll talk about it as we go. So right now I have 3 1/5 and 1 7/10. So again, I'm going to use my strategy to find that least common denominator. I'll take my 5, and I'll take my 10, and you probably can already see what might be the common denominator here. 5, 10, 15, 20. All right, and then I have 10. Well, I can probably just stop right there, right? Because it looks like I got 10 here and a 10 here. So my least common denominator is 10. Come up here, put in my new and improved denominator, okay? And again, I've got to figure out my new numerator. So how do I get from 10 to 10? Well, that's times 1. And then up here, 7 times 1 is 7. I've got 5 times 2 gets me 10. And then 1 times 2 gets me 2.
And whatever you're doing to the bottom, the denominator, you have to do to the top, the numerator. You have to do the same thing.
Yeah, they feel like they're left out if you don't, so you got to include them in there.
Okay.
So now we got a problem here, though, because I don't think I can take 7 from 2. So the one nice thing I have here is this whole number. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come over to my whole number and say, you know what, 3, I'm going to make you go 2. And then I'm going to take that whole number and I'm going to go ahead and stick it over here. I'm going to add 10 over 10. So that's a whole number I can use, right? 10 over 10 is equivalent to 1, which I just borrowed from that 3.
Where did you get the 10 over 10?
Well, I got the 10 over 10 because that common denominator we have is 10, so I need it to be in tens. So 10 over 10 is going to be that one whole that I just borrowed.
Perfect.
So now I'm going to sit here and I'm going to go ahead and add these across. So I'm going to say, all right, well, 2 tenths plus 10 tenths, that's going to be 12 tenths. And then I'm just going to drag over my 7 tenths here, because I don't need to do anything with that. And now I can actually subtract these numbers. 12 minus 7 is going to get me 5. And whenever I have my common denominator, I'm just going to bring that guy down. So now I have 5 tenths. But I'm not done yet because I have this subtraction of my whole numbers I got to do, right? So 2 minus 1 is 1. So I have 1 and 5 tenths. But remember how they do this. When they ask you questions on a test, we need to always have things in simplest form. Well, I know that 1 and 5 tenths is 1.5, okay? Or that's 1 and 1/2. So all of these are equal. Simplest form is going to be this guy right here. Okay?
Okay, my turn.
All right.
And so I'm going to try my strategy, and I'm going to see if I can get the same thing. So we learned on the last video that one quick little strategy to do is to turn these into our decimal equivalent of the fraction. So 3 1/5. If we remember, we used our fingers and we counted, these were divided into fifths of the whole, and we could separate these into 20s, 20, 40, 60, 80, 100. So 1/5 is 20. So 3 20 hundredths. And then 1 7 tenths, well, 7 tenths we know is 7 tenths. So 7 tenths goes right there, and the 1 whole goes in the whole number place, the ones place, and I can just simply add a 0 there. So I can line everything up and fill in each place value. And 0 minus 0, 0. I cannot take 7 from 2, so I'm going to borrow from 3 and regroup. Bring 10 over here, and that becomes 12. 12 minus 7 is 5, and 2 minus 1 is 1. And looky there, I have 1 and 50 hundredths, which is 1 and 5 tenths, or really that's 1 and 1/2. The same thing, Miss Pasquale.
I love it.
I love it too. You want to try one more?
Sure.
Okay.
All right. Now I have 5 2/4 and 3 7/8. All right. So I'm subtracting here. So down here, making my table, 4 and 8. So I'm gonna get 4, 8, do 12, do 16, and then I'm gonna do 8. Oh, looks like that's my least common denominator. So here I come up here with my new denominator, 8 and 8. So 8 times 1 is 8. 7 times 1 is 7. 4 times 2 is 8. 2 times 2 is 4. Oh no, but I got a subtraction problem looks like I can't do here. So I can't take 7 from 4. So I'm going to come over to my 5 and make him a 4. I'm going to take that whole number over here. I'm going to add, we need eighths, so I'll do 8 eighths, which is 1 whole. And I'm going to add across. 4 plus 8 is 12. Keep my 8 there. Bring this guy over, 7 eighths. All right, so again, now I can subtract. 12 minus 7 is going to be 5. And I keep my 8 there. And I can't forget my whole number, so 4 minus 3 is 1. So I have 1 and 5 eighths, and I can't simplify 5 eighths. The only number they have in common is 1, so I am done. What do you think?
I love that. Now this, eighths, this is going to be where we've got to remember our eighths. So when we go to decimal form, 5 and 2/4, well, that's a half. So 5 and 50 hundredths. And 3 and 7/8, well, gosh, 7/8. Well, I remember what 1/8 is. And I know 1/8 was 125 thousandths. So if I need to know 7 of those, I can simply take 125 and multiply that by 7. 7 times 5 is 35. 7 times 2 is 14. Plus 3 is 7. Carry my 1. 7 times 1 is 7. Plus 1 is 8. That's 875 thousandths. And so now I can simply subtract 875 thousandths. I don't look very lined up here. So I need to add another 0 up here so I can line up all of my numbers. I cannot take 5 from nothing, and I cannot take 7 from nothing, 8 from nothing. I come over to my whole number and I borrow and I bring over here, and this becomes 15, but I have to borrow. Now I can subtract.
Oh, it's the
1
same.
and 625 thousandths. Now, if you do not remember what 625 thousandths is as a fraction, this is where you would have to have memorized 125 thousandths equals 1/8. And you can simply just start adding those up to determine what 625 thousandths would be. Or you could take 625 thousandths and divide it by 5.
Yep.
So that would be 1 and 5/8 is your answer.
So they both work.
They both work.
Awesome.
Okay, have a great day.
All right, bye.